and said, fine, we're going for it anyway. So that was it. Not exactly honouring your mother and your father.
And my father gave it, I give this 3 months, he said, as he walked me up the aisle.
That was his whispered words up the aisle.
As he walked up the aisle.
That's incentive.
He was so wrong.
Not exactly prophetic.
No.
Yeah.
He was very good though.
Okay, so you, at age 21,
Yes.
you're getting married. Now, have we met Jesus yet? Or?
No.
Oh no.
Oh.
No, Jesus took his time.
No, actually he didn't. He supplied several people over a lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they prayed for, must have prayed for us.
No,
Yes.
no, not just simply prayed for, but came to us and told us. Don't you remember?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I remember the guy that had a broken nose, the pastor.
Yes.
Yes, and he told
Okay.
us.
Then how about the couple who arrived on our doorstep and said, our pastor's going to have to leave because there's not enough support for him. Will you come to a special tea and we're going to raise some money so that we can keep
Don't
him?
remember
We
that.
don't remember that. That was in Wellington, in New Zealand.
No.
What about our babysitter?
Ah, but I remember my nana who came to babysit us when I was very... No, who babysitted our children. I'm getting old.
No, it's a good thing we're doing this interview because we want to make sure you guys get this straight.
It is.
People were coming and they were touching you with the Lord.
Including a young pastor
Yeah.
who came and said, look, if I come and tell you about Jesus, will you tell me what you believe? I'm really interested in hearing what you believe. Sure. Do you remember that guy?
I do remember him.
And so we were all over it.
Brilliant.
You know, we were having such a time
Reincarnation.
explaining reincarnation to this guy. Really? And not, how can you believe that? It's fascinating. And then he said, okay, well, tell us about Jesus. And he was so simple, just like we have explained. And that's it. Yeah, yes, that's it. Oh, wow. If you'd like to come back next week, we've got some more stuff we could tell you about. Fine. And so he came back next week. In the end, he left.
Yeah, and he was very upset
Yes.
because he said, my wife won't believe in Jesus. And that was a memory.
Yes. Anyway.
But that's stories. Yeah, I mean.
But we didn't come to Jesus then.
Yeah, it's because we got the answer. We just need to be bold to say it. Just say it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to accept Christ? I mean, that's what the woman said to me. I was walking out the door. She said, before you leave, do you want to accept Christ? I said, I was thinking, no, of course not. And I said, yeah, I will. You know, she hadn't said it. I wouldn't. So there you go. So tell me when it happened. When
40.
Well,
I was first.
Yes, I do.
I was
I'm so used to this. I do want you to tell about the early Catholic experience that you had, and I had an early high Anglican experience myself. I was confirmed.
Oh yes, we understand
at the church. We were both baptized. We were both confirmed. I could sing, there is a green hill far away beyond the city called, they were crucified, he died, saved, so not understanding a word of that. And as a part of the young public school that I was in, we murdered our headmaster, the boys. Actually soaked the steps, he fell down the steps and broke his neck. And they laid him out in front of a high altar in our church chapel, in his coffin, and there was a policeman the other side of it, and the vicar, and we were paraded one by one to look at Stokesy, who has died, or we were all thrilled to see he was dead.
But you're supposed to feel bad.
Yeah, to see who would confess.
Yeah.
So that we did have some spiritual encounters. Now.
Yes, I went to Catholic school. And I just think how God looked after me, really, because I used to have a bicycle, and I used to bicycle to the convent, and this guy who must have been 20, he picked me up every day and bicycle, and then we talk. But also, but you know, it was just really, when I look back on it, I just think how blessed I was, because I was 11, 10, 12, and he was just talked to me, and and I don't remember what he said, but I do remember getting really brassed off with my Reverend Mother, who I loved my Reverend Mother, and she loved me. I was her favourite. And Reverend Mother's niece came as a novice, and she didn't like me at all. And I got into trouble because I used to like to go into the church, and I used to like to knock on the tabernacle because I was told about Jesus living in the tabernacle. So I used to knock on the door and I used to talk to him. And got into trouble by this
Novice.
Thank you. She said, I'm going to report you to Reverend Mother. I said, you can talk it. I said, how dare you interrupt me? I'm speaking to Jesus. And she said, well, I'm going to tell Reverend Mother. So she went off. The next morning I was called to Reverend Mother's office, and she said, Treena, I hear you didn't obey Celia, I still remember her name, and you left all the church lights on. You put the church. I said, I did not put the church light on. She said, yes, you did. Celia told me so. And I said, I didn't. There's a little red light over the thing, and I didn't need to have that. I said, she's a liar. And she said, well, she told me that you left the lights on. I said, I didn't think. Oh, yes. Then she called my best friend. Now, my best friend, Mary, was upstairs when I was praying. And she came in and said, yes, Treena did. And I said, I thought Catholics didn't lie. I said, you're all liars. And I said, I'm going to go to the president, the Presbyterian
Church,
whatever it was. So I went over there on my own, sat on the
Did you ever read a book about strong-willed child? There's You're standing up to a lot of heavy hitters there.
Well, I know I was, but I went to that church and I sat out there and listened to this pastor, and I thought, he doesn't believe what he's saying anyway. And that was all the last I had to do with Jesus.
Okay, now skip forward in time to when the light went on.
40.
Yeah. You were 40 years old?
I was 40, yes.
And where were you? In a Bible study or what?
No.
No, what?
No. I had a black maid.
A black maid?
A black maid, and her name was Ruthie. And she and her whole church took me on as a problem. And they prayed and they fasted for me for 3 months.
Oh.
And then one day Ruthie said to me, have you ever thought of getting baptized? And I said, no. And she said, well, just think about it. And and as I got up, it was like a little voice said, why not? So I called Ruthie and I said, okay, when can I get baptized? And she said, well, just a moment, I borrow your phone. So she phoned. She didn't trust me to go to her church, which is 100 miles away from where we live.
Mm-hmm.
She phoned up this pastor in a little place called Bethlehem, and asked if I could be baptized. Then the whole of her church came down.
I take it these were black people.
All black, yes, all black people.
Wow.
In the city,
and they came, and I got there, and it was a very poor little church, naked bulbs. The baptismal had paint all peeling off it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a very poor little black church, and this huge black pastor came up and he said, "Do you know what you're doing, sister?" And I said, "I most certainly do," in my best English voice. And he said, "Well, you might not get it tonight." I said, "I most certainly will." And Ruthie said, "Yes, she's ready for it, whatever it was." and so, anyway, he went on and he was talking about the angels in heaven singing about this new spirit, soul, sister that was coming to know Jesus. And then everybody got up and there was tremendous noise. and as they were going, I thought somebody had thrown me on my knees. I fell on my knees.
Oh, man.
And I heard myself, now I use Jesus' name all the time as a swear word. And I heard myself saying, I'm sorry, Jesus. Forgive me, Jesus. Now I brought my oldest daughter with me, and Graham's secretary, who was a backslidden Christian, who she told me this when we were driving up. And anyway, they all stopped. I got into this freezing cold water. It was December the 17th, 8:30 at night. I remember it well. Got out of this freezing, and the back pastor said, would you like to tarry? And I said, what's tarry?
Terry?
Tarry, T-A-R-R-Y, and that's waiting for the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
I said, oh, well, after. I'm still drinking.
Okay.
And I said, what do I do? And I said, yes, I might as well as I'm here. And so he said, well, you kneel down and you thank Jesus for the gift he's going to give. So I knelt down and I said, thank you, Jesus. I knew I got out of my mind. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm not crazy. Then suddenly the lights went on my face like this, and I thought, they put up the lights to make me think I'm getting whatever I'm getting.
Yes.
And I opened
It's a trick. No,
I opened my eyes,
there were no lights.
and there was the most beautiful man I've ever seen. And he came forward, and he put his hand on my heart. And the smile he gave was like all bad relationships, all got right. My father was a pedophile, so there was all sorts of stuff in my background that made me very willful.
Yeah.
And then the pastor came and he said, have you received anything yet? I said, I don't know, but I've just seen the most beautiful person. And he said, well, you can come back again. And then everybody was patting me on the head, and there was a lot of noise. You know, if you've ever been to a black church, they make a wonderful lot of noise. Anyway, my daughter said, Mummy, I'm going to drive home. I said, why? She said, because you're crazy. I said, no, I'm not. She said, I went to pick you up and you wouldn't be picked up. You were too heavy. I couldn't pick you up. And you were saying, thank you, Jesus, and all this sort of stuff. I said, well, listen. She said, I think it's evil. I said, if this is evil, I like it. So we went home.
You were baptized in the water and in the Spirit, in the black
everything.
church.
Everything. And I went home, and Ruthie had told me to go and buy a Bible. So I bought a Bible because she said, say with red writing in, because that's what Jesus said. Yeah. And so I had this little Bible. She said, you don't have anything like this in this house. And so I picked up the Bible to read, to see what it says, and obviously fell asleep. I woke up with it falling on the floor, and I wanted to see if I looked like Ruthie looked like. You know, understand, not black, but if I looked like she did.
Yeah.
Happy. And I went to the mirror to look at myself, and I heard this voice say, you've got it. So I ran up the stairs to my daughter, and I said, I've got it. She said, what you got? I said, I don't know, but I've got it.
Hallelujah.
And within 3 months, the whole family, even Graham's mother, came to know Jesus. Because I was pretty rough. I was very difficult.
Yeah, new converts are a little bit that way.
Oh, no, it was not. It was lovely.
Oh, you were
No,
loving
it
it?
was after that other person.
Oh,
You know.
oh, because you were rough before, and now
I was rough before, now I was lovely.
it changed your life.
Let me tell you about her before.
Okay.
Just to tell you why I think it was. I want you to imagine a very tall ladder now. And if you would have the top of the ladder as the ultimate success that you could think of as a human being. It's almost like President Obama, grasping that upper rung of the ladder, but not having any rungs underneath him.
Right.
Having got somewhere quickly and having to hang on tight. So I got to do that. I had my character was down here and my personality was up here. So I could never look myself in the eyes. There was never an opportunity. It was always, how can I keep on hanging on?
Yes, yes.
It was survival.
Survival.
So in the survival, I became aware of the fact that I was extremely successful and very well liked. So I thought to myself, the silver grey tie and the pearl and the carnation, I had actually arrived, and people did call me Graham. In that respect, I entered into a time of my life in which I left Treena behind and went off in search of that kind of admiration wherever I could find it.
Yes.
So I ultimately hurt the very person that I loved with all my heart and had always loved with all my heart. So I get to this place of confronting myself and what I actually was doing, deeply apologetic, asking for forgiveness, unable to be forgiven. We had no tools by which I could be forgiven. So Treena descended deeper and deeper into this awful business of hanging on to each other and yet gouging each other so that we bled in our relationship. We were not healed in it. We just hung on. So she had major operations, and we had a big traffic accident, and I was partially paralyzed once, so she had to have half a lung removed and all that stuff. And in the process of being healed after a major operation, she took Darvon and was then given Benzodrine to get her back. I forget what the pills were to get you to sleep. But she was taking 6 major mind-altering drugs, all of which were prescribed, and she was get up to 60 milligrams of Valium a day. Now, the physician said to me, you're going to have to bite the bullet, friend. She's going to have to go away for an indeterminate period of time. We're going to have to wean her off all of these drugs. She is a danger to herself and your family.
Yeah.
She would fly into tremendous rages when she break through the chemicals.
We're talking some major darkness.
Yeah. And there was blood flowed in her eyes, and her mouth was ringed in foam around the outside. It's amazing to see her and to imagine that she was so strong, you had to try and pin her down. It took me all my strength to be able to hold her.
Yeah.
So, having said that, this took place, I was given until Christmas, just after Christmas, to make the decision. 17th of December, the 18th of December was Treena's day. 17th is mine. 18th.
17th.
17th, your birthday is the 18th.
In my Jesus' birthday.
17th, sorry. Of course I know that. It's written in all my journals ever since. So, when this little black girl arrives on our doorstep, we had a 10,800 square foot mansion on the Chesapeake Bay. There were 2 of us after all, and we had, there were 3, yes, and then we had the upper floor, which we gave to some other people. So anyway, so as a result of this lady coming, and she said, I am not a missionary, I'm not a maid, I'm a missionary, and I want to go to Haiti because my people are hurting down in Haiti, and I want to go serve them. My pastor says the church is too poor to send me, so I'm to find some rich folks who live down by the water and serve them as a maid and put the money away in the savings account, and then I can go down. And that's what she said, all in one breath. So I said, oh, really? Oh, God, I have to think about this. How are you going to get your message across? Do you speak French in a patois for them? No, sir. I said, well, how are you going to communicate? She said, I've got a strong heart and went and back, and I got Jesus in my heart. And that's what she said. And I thought, well, you know, I'd never met anybody quite like that before. So I had her in, and she introduced her to Treena. So she arrived, she saw the need within minutes.
She was in the mission field, right?
She didn't know how to deal with it, so she went back to her pastor, and she did it. And the pastor said, man, this is the kind that comes out with prayer and fast. He didn't know how to deal with it. Nobody knew how to deal with it. So she was with us, and she prayed, she laid hands on everything we owned. And she prayed for Treena, and she got the church. Now, in the end, the church went on, since each month, nothing apparently had happened. And she's getting bewildered about why nothing's happened with all this prayer. So they decide 24-hour prayer clock. They vote on who's going to take what time. And they never left her unattended for 30 consecutive days of people praying hard in the Spirit for this woman here.
Listen up, church. Are we hearing this?
This is real commitment. When they heard she was going to be baptized, and remember, she didn't say this, but the only reason she thought the water might do us some good is, don't people go to Baden-Baden and take the water?
Oh, yeah.
And every time I feel really bad, I go and have a shower, and it makes me feel a little better. So maybe if I just get under that water that they've got there. This wasn't about Jesus and his resurrection, that we knew nothing of this power. Well, we had been told, but it had never got anywhere close to us. So it wasn't really until she was willing to go. And all of them were with 2 school buses filled with saxophones and drums and castanets and everything else. They all came down and they just raised that little roof. This is in the rural backdrops of Maryland, in the middle. There no street lights, nothing, just little tiny cleaning place. And so, I mean, I'm
Do you
just
know
thinking,
the pastor's name?
isn't it wonderful?
What's his pastor's name?
Friend.
Friend?
Friend.
Friend.
Friend, yeah, but Friend, yes, his name is Pastor Friend. But then, here she goes. She goes to sleep that night without taking any of her pills.
Mogadon.
Yeah, Mogadon. She goes and gets all the pills, puts them, opens all the containers, shovels them all down the toilet. And then she pulls the chain. It was an old house, it was in 1840. and all of these pills went down, and you said it was
It's like a rainbow of promise.
just the rainbow medication. Now, remember, she was to be going away for an indeterminate period of time to get her weaned off this slowly, which is the way that it's done. She just did this, and all of it went away. She went to sleep that night, had a great night's sleep, woke up in the morning, and what did you do? You ran to the mirror.
Yes, I said that.
Yes.
I told
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
it's all right, you weren't listening.
Okay, so Graham, now, let's just jump a little bit now. Just tell us the little circumstances about when it worked for you.
Listen, God says I'll make you fishers of men. Yes.
You said you went to the mirror and you looked for something, but you didn't say what you saw.
Well, I wanted to look like Ruthie. You understand, not
be
black,
happy.
but I wanted that shine
and
that
that
she
was
was
it.
on.
Yeah, it was
It
there.
was her
She ran
eyes.
upstairs and said, I got it. I don't know what it is, but I got it.
Yeah, she was looking into her eyes to see whether they looked like Ruth's eyes. Now, Treena's eyes with the medication looked like a stunned mullet. If you've ever seen one of those things, it's a dead fish, you know, and it's glazing over, and that's what she looked like. But the next morning, her eyes were bright. The eyes are the window of the soul.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
And then what happened to you?
Yes.
You haven't got much time.
That's right. Well, I'm fairly
Just
excellent.
say
You know,
it.
when it says, I will make you fishers of men, okay, then what do you do? What do you use as bait? You know, God has a unique bait for each of us, a unique way of finding us. And he has his story, but then he has this unusual mechanism that he uses. And here is the bait. Now, here you know that I was responsible for her demise, for her disappointment with life and difficulty. And I have begged to be forgiven and have been forgiven endless times which hadn't worked. So I knew nothing more, there was nothing I could do for her except to realize she had to be taken away in order to detoxify her, to go back. But then it was still my fault. So where is this ever going to end? And it ended with this dear person here utterly and completely changing overnight. I came back, I was away that time when she went away. I came back into a house which had utterly changed. I came back to a woman who was like we were when we were first married. This is the wife of your youth. And so, how on earth could not respond to this? I thought, I'm going to watch and see how long this works, because this ain't going to go on for too long, because other things have been tried too, and it's all going to fall apart. So I watched, and the more I watched, the more beautiful she became. And then one day I actually had a worship service with our family, who had all come to the Lord at that stage. And we were all into peace in the parlor. It was a big thing back in the 70s about deliverance. And so I said, okay, we're going to have a deliverance in our family. And so we had the worship service and everything else. And I really wanted our son Andy, who wasn't standing up in worship, and he was like this about it. And I just wanted him to be delivered of whatever it was that was happening. And it turned out to be me. And the rest of the family left us because I couldn't stop weeping. I broke in pieces. When we heard today this business of repentance, you know, it's a godly sorrow that leads to the repentance. And you can be sorry because you're caught out. You can be sorry because you do wish you hadn't done that. I was sorry because I didn't know. If I was to confess, I didn't know whether this was going to push Treena back across the edge or whatever. All I knew was that I just had to plead for forgiveness, first for the Lord and then for my darling. And after I had finished, and you know, it's really interesting because even at this stage, it's 38 years ago. It feels like yesterday. But the Lord said there's no point in jumping back into dirty bathwater when I've pulled the plug and cleaned the bath. So that's not a question of that testament. It's just to say that I blurted out. Ugh. And I looked to see, in fear, to see what might have happened to Treena. And I looked into her eyes and saw Jesus. Her eyes were filled with tears, and because I had been crying, and I looked at her and she said, "Oh, I love you and I forgive you." And it was done.
It was done.
It was done. Now, there cannot be any way in which one could conceivably live a life after that, other than to give your heart and your everything. That's the way we are. And 1 Thessalonians 4:11 says it's rather well for me, relative to pastor's message this morning. Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. Work with your hands. Mind your own business. Do the best you can to earn the respect of those who do not believe as you believe. And be beholden to no man. In other words, you know, just get to be as freely, the Lord says, you possibly can be, and don't rub anybody's noses in their own problems. We should not be judging and criticizing the world. We're losing our witness as loving people. We've been told not to judge. So the best thing to do is find out where the needs are, go meet the needs within one's personal capability, and love on people. John of the Cross, a friar in the 15th century, Carmelite friar, said, if you love someone, you do them good. And the good you do is the best in your nature. Well, when he said Jesus comes and makes his place within us, that's the best in our nature. That's him within our nature. So he then is capable of loving people through this thing, which is so unable to do that, but to allow him to do it is wonderful. And we don't have to have people that we mount on the wall as conquests. We have to just love people unconditionally.
Do you remember this morning I said to you, why is it that we can love people,
Yes.
but some people we just don't like?
Yeah. And I'm saying, searching for an answer to that and saying, I think we're made in God's image and therefore inescapably when we draw close to him we love other people. It doesn't mean we have to like them, but we really do love them because God can't like what he sees, but he loves all the same.
That's so great. So obviously, with all the fame and wealth that you had, then it was a whole new walk. I mean, things changed, and you've been in ministry ever since. Just doing God's will and work. And we're going to do it to be continued. And I think we're booked for this.